Welcome to the Restless Creatives podcast. Comfortable chats with inspirational creatives. Hosted by three self-confessed restless creatives, Lucy Hunter, Fiona Pickles and Bridget Girling. This week, you find us chatting with Max Gill, an inspirational event florist from Berkeley in California. He and Lucy have been friends for a while, and it's fascinating to hear about his garden and how growing plants really influences the way he uses flowers in his designs.
Check your waiting room.
Oh, yeah, you're right, it's there.
Oh, bless it. You've got rid of it.
I think I have.
No! Where's he gone?
Where is he? Oh, there he is. I can see him again. He disappeared for a minute. He's there, he's coming.
Hello!
Hello.
Oh,
we can hear him.
Hello. How's it going? Good morning.
Oh, it's very early for you, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. God, it's not morning there, is it? It's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's nearly night.
It's nearly about to go dark.
Really tight for gin, Max.
Yeah, we're in the wine shortly.
No,
You can join us if you want.
Wednesday.
It's
I'll
only
finish
you
my-
that's doing a dry
Finish my
week.
coffee first. and then-
Okay.
Yeah. How are you? It's lovely to see
I'm
you.
doing okay.
Yeah?
Okay. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Sweet face.
Oh, I tidied my studio specially just for you.
It's very impressive. I closed the curtains for you.
Let me introduce you. 'Cause you have not met Bridget or Fiona, have you?
I don't think so.
So for me, Bridget's up the top, but I don't know where she is on your screen. There's Bridget.
Hi.
Hello.
And Fiona down below.
Hi. We've spent some time on Instagram together.
We have, yeah.
I've told her about that.
Whoa.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. This is
Oh, no.
Oh, we're very excited.
Thank you for coming on.
as nervous as I am. I'm also very excited to see.
Oh, well,
you.
we're all nervous too.
So have you had to get out of bed really early then, Max, to do this? Or are you an early bird?
I'm I'm wired that way. So
Yeah, you're a lark.
I'm not.
yeah, I've been up for a little while. So yeah, this isn't bad at all. This is completely civilized.
Oh, it's so lovely to see you. But for those people that don't know who Max is, can you imagine? Can you can you tell us
How
a bit
rude.
about Max? Who's Max? What does in this mad
sorry.
time?
God, I'm a florist. I'm a Bay Area, Berkeley-based floral designer. I've been doing flowers for 19 years now. I think I'm probably best known for my work at Chez Panisse, which is
So for those of us in the UK that aren't don't know what Chez Panisse particularly is, can you tell us a bit about that?
yeah, sure. Chez Panisse is gosh, it's getting ready to celebrate 50 years.
Gosh, really?
And many credit it for sort of pioneering the farm to table slow food movement. Alice Waters is the owner and visionary behind the restaurant, and it's based in providing fine dining that is locally sourced, seasonal, and completely organic. So are you guys hearing me okay? I'm having like
great.
technical difficulties here. Okay.
Oh, we've had a few of those as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
Today.
Yeah. Earbuds are about as technical as things get for me. So,
Very sensible.
So the sensibility at the restaurant and around, it's a food philosophy, and really relies on knowing the growers and intimate relationships with where the food comes from and how it is sustainably provided. It's really influenced the flowers there as well. They had a very well-established flower program long before I started doing the flowers there. My predecessor did the flowers there, I think, for 34 years before she retired. Yeah. And was brilliant. I apprenticed under her for about 3 years. So it's had a huge impact on how I think about flowers, my design aesthetic, my sensibility in terms of the flowers beyond the bowl, beyond the vase. And one of the things that's really had one of the biggest impacts on me is that it's very important to Alice that the flowers not distract from the overall experience, so that they really just be an accent. That it's never should they demand people's attention. So that has really meant.
How do you deal with that then? Surely,
well,
that was, you want them. I don't know how to.
Well, I was just thinking, as a florist myself,
Yeah.
how could I possibly not be distracted by the flowers?
Yeah.
I suppose most people aren't, are they? Actually, it is just an accent in the room.
Well, whether or not they're aware of it, I think they can be, and it was a wonderful, and as I'm sure, and I've seen on your galleries, the beautiful things that come from the limitations of season or what you can actually find in your garden. So that sort of limitation, when I first started doing the flowers there, my notes from Alice were often, the flowers are too floral.
There's too flowery.
Too many flowers in the flowers.
I love that.
Wow.
So what I've found is that by minimizing the number of elements that I use, by really having my aesthetics informed by the natural world in terms of, be it the garden or on the trail or out in the woods or the field, where you won't find 14 different kinds of flowers in a square foot. Like, these little vignettes are very balanced by the number of elements and the kinds of elements that can occupy one space. So minimizing, limiting the number of colors I use, so very much more simple palettes. But the flowers still needed to be world class. Like, they still needed to have impact and still needed to provide something for those that were paying attention.
Yeah.
And that's where I really draw upon my background in theater to create interest, create a sort of dynamic experience through the spatial relationships.
So were you an actor?
I thought I wanted to be.
Okay.
I studied pretty intensely for quite a few years, but it turned out I just liked watching daytime television. I'd rather set myself on fire than go to another audition.
Oh, really?
That's quite a severe reaction.
Well, I mean, but what I really loved about the work, I still get to explore and play with in flowers. I really loved how, classically in theater, you're telling the same story as is being told on the page, again, spatially, in the dynamics that you create, how you create a picture on stage for the audience through head level, and same way that an artist in 2 dimensions creates focus. You're creating that on on the stage.
Okay.
I kn-
So your props and your scenery is really making you focus towards
Exactly, and the
whoever.
players' head levels are
Okay.
directing the audience's eye to a focal point, like who's
Okay.
in play at the moment.
Ah.
And those spatial relationships on the stage and the lines you're creating also elicit an emotional response from the audience. And again, tell the same story. They follow a parallel trajectory as the story being told on the stage.
Wow.
And that
Who
you
knew?
can somewhat do that in the vase.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Everybody's just blinking at me.
We're all blown away.
It's a bit like,
Oh my God.
But it's a sort of an intuitive thing as well, isn't it? Or do you think it can be learned?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the other thing, is that I think it's available to all of us, and yes, it is also intuitive. So many people who've never studied theater or stage direction or blocking or understand the grid of the stage and its emotional significance are still responding to the same stimulus. So they're still having the same emotional experience. So absolutely, it can be taught. Again, we're taking the same principles that people have been exploring for 3,000 years and bring them into three-dimensional space.
It's that indefinable thing that makes something beautiful and emotional, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's the really compelling thing for me too is how often that we sort of stumble upon that in the natural world, and these little dramas are playing out, and again, following these same principles, they sort of create these spatial relationships that lead your eye to a focal point, and then through gesture and line, you're led around this little vignette in a way that tells a story.
Yeah. Fabulous. So how did you go from working out then that actually you just wanted to watch television to actually
getting off the sofa
and doing these and
I am still on the sofa. After I was pretty clear I didn't want to be an actor, I was waiting tables and bartending. I had studied my formal educations in environmental science. I got my degree from Berkeley, and studying theater came after that. And it was I think, as many florists, I stumbled into it doing flowers for a friend's wedding.
Okay.
And I had no idea what I was doing. It was it was all in mason jars. It was very a lot of heart there, not a lot of polish.
They're the best.
Early days.
Yeah, but and I horribly underbought. So I, at 11:30 the night before was cutting fennel fronds under the freeway, and
Yeah.
but it was I was absolutely captivated. Like I before I knew it, it was 3:00 in the morning, and I hadn't eaten or peed or smoked a cigarette. I was just in a zone. And I found in flowers, that's as much of being on stage as I need. Like, if my flowers are the centerpiece, that
would do. That would
satisfies
do.
something for me. Yeah. And is still feels pretty safe.
Okay, that's interesting.
And they don't interview you or audition you.
Exactly. Well, or talk about you in third person when you're standing right in front
Oh, really? Oh, nice.
Really?
Oh, dear. I have to say, I couldn't think of anything worse. Going into something and knowing you're being judged and quite honestly and openly saying, no, I'm sorry, you just don't fit. You're just not right. You haven't got the right face. You haven't got no.
Well, or that's one thing to even say that to me, but just to say it to the person next to them and then say,
About
okay,
you.
thank you very much for your time.
Oh God.
That's so rude.
Well,
There's only so much of that you can take.
well, see, the thing though, too, I think that's how I knew I found something in flowers, is that I really was okay. Like, it was so satisfying on such a profound level that I didn't mind being bad at it for the first few years. You know, I was willing to, I still wanted to play with it. I still wanted to take it apart and start over again and see if I could.
Yeah, it's a true passion.
Yeah, and find there's something too, like it really finding some harmony in the bowl or in the vase. It's the same sort of feeling I get from working in the garden. Like there's just something about it regulates my nervous system in a way that
and the only judge is you and the flowers. It's not that person talking to somebody else discussing you in front of you. You're absolutely, I mean, I just can't imagine what that would be like, but finding that serenity within the flowers within a bowl is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's a really lovely relationship you have. And it's kind of going on cerebral, I can't say the word, but in your own head.
We know what you
it
mean.
is a beautiful thing, isn't it? And it can be a car crash arrangement that you've made at the end of the day, but it's still been a beautiful moment getting there till you're furious with yourself.
Yeah.
And there's always some little twiddle or some little thing that you just absolutely adore, and it's never the great big gesture. It's always that little tiny little thing. What I find it is, it's like it might be a petal that's dropped on something else, and it's just exquisite, and it's like, oh, I just love that, and nobody else will even see it probably.
No. Or care.
But you know, I bet I would see it.
Yeah.
Have you got special vision?
Well, I guess that I also think that I found in flowers a community of like-minded people. Like I really, like this is flower people are my people. That's my tribe for sure. Yeah. I can count on them to notice those little things.
Details.
Yeah.
So your garden's hugely important to you, isn't it? Have you always gardened?
You know, looking back on it, yeah. It's still pretty arguable whether or not I garden well. But yes.
Who gardens well?
It can produce some stuff for sure. But you know, I'm not a professional gardener by any stretch. I really but it is important to me. It is.
And you do use what you grow for
as much as possible.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not all of it, I imagine, because you do some big events, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there's always something for the bridal bouquet, or every now and again I can do almost a whole job out of there, but not often.
Okay. So do you grow things in a sort of cutting garden way, or is it a garden that you pick from?
It's very much a working, like cutting.
I've seen it, and it's very beautiful. Sorry, I just had to say that.
So it's rows you can go down and pick rather than.
There's lines. Yeah. It's not like there's not enough space for me to like create a whole row of one thing.
It's a proper garden.
Okay, it's a proper garden. But as soon as something's pretty,
gardener's
I usually
garden.
Cut it.
You find that really hard, don't you, Lucy? Actually cutting from the garden.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah,
I don't.
No, I know we've had this discussion before. But it's because I've spent 20 years trying to make gardens look beautiful. So then, you know, to cut my meandering river of grasses, a big lump of them out of the middle to bring inside.
You're doing it wrong if you cut a big lump.
Not if I need a big lump.
Just do little bits that nobody notices.
I find it really difficult. So now, but by having a patch, a kind of, you know, cut patch away, that's fine. They're meant to be cut.
Yeah,
you have the most amazing magnolias in your garden.
I should have cut some and had them here.
Oh.
Are they in flower now?
They are. Yeah, they're happening right now.
Yeah,
I've got snow on the ground.
Yeah.
No, the smell in the workspace outside right now is out of control because I got the magnolia and the plum blossoms and the narcissus are out there. So
really need to be there, Max. Slight problem.
I mean,
COVID.
COVID.
I know. God damn it. Jesus.
Next year, Lucy, it will all be blissful next year.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Let's hope. Yeah.
So, are you actually
invitation?
I don't know the Bay Area. I don't really even know what that means. To be honest, is that California? Is that?
It is.
Yes.
So
Fiona.
it's.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know.
We're just like
excuse my friends,
with no traffic. We're about 15 minutes from San Francisco. Like we're a bridge away.
Climate-wise, is that roasting in the summer? I presume.
You know, we're pretty lucky because of the bay. The bay really sort of
so it cools it down.
regulates it. Yeah. But it's hot and dry often, and hotter and drier as we go. Yeah.
There's a lot of similarity, I always say, and when I'm over there, and then everybody goes, oh, but you live in North Wales, how can there be? And we're certainly much wetter, and we've got much colder, wetter winters here, I think. You know, we have greater rainfall than I think you do over there, but we grow the same kind of stuff.
Really? God,
yeah.
And
it's very recognizable.
Mediterranean flowers and plants do well here, and and there's the nice thing also about the Bay Area is there's infinite little microclimates. So there's little pockets where, you know, the banana trees look amazing, and so it's kind of we're really spoiled as florists. So I do.
Are there rules?
I'm supposed to.
Foraging is not 100% legal here.
Not 100%, just 99%.
Slightly
kind of illegal, yeah. Foraging here really means creating relationships with people who will let you cut.
So
there are
you've got permission.
Actually, it's the same here.
Yeah, there are things that I cut without without a second thought, like blackberry brambles or invasive grasses, or there also anything hanging over a fence, over a sidewalk is fair game. That is legally the commons.
Yeah, I think that's the same here. Well, it is here, isn't it? If it's overhanging, you can cut it.
I'd still be terrified that the owner of the house would come out and go, give me my apples back.
Well, they would. So, but also, if I feel like that's not good juju. It's not. No. I'm not going to make something beautiful with something I
feel bad about.
Yeah. Or like if I know somebody was appreciating that, I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do, but I think foraging is potentially a really valuable resource, and not just for the volume of product, but for the gesture or the unexpected, or finding a way to showcase more pedestrian elements.
But especially given the brief as well from, is it Chez Panisse? That sort of if it feels like it belongs there, it's not going to jar and sort of make you feel uncomfortable. So it fits with that as well, I guess.
Well, and I like what I try to do with the flowers in the restaurant, and certainly you're taking all kinds of liberties when you're designing in a vase, but I really wanted to capture a moment in time, and the few vignettes in my life don't involve some amount of weeds somewhere.
Oh, I love that though, because I think weeds are so underrated.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact they're even called weeds, you know, that quite often they're the most beautiful thing. And it is often the thing that when you do put it into a bowl or a vase, that somebody will go, oh, what's that? I've never seen it before. And you think, yeah, you have. You just haven't been looking. It surrounds you all of the time.
Exactly.
And now I've drawn your attention to how beautiful it is. It's uncanny.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
So what inspires you, Max, to create these? Is it the garden, just the garden, or is,
Well, I think in terms of the natural world, like as I mentioned earlier, this idea of these little mini dramas that are happening. I think it's what happens when plants have to overcome a challenge. Something about the fight that creates.
Or being mean to them. Trying to kill them, you mean? Root down.
You just
admiring the survival instinct.
You talk about them in third person when they're sitting in front of you.
That makes them
well, no, this idea of the fight for it, how that creates character.
Sure.
Like you see
the wibbly wobbly stems.
Or the more refined foliage or fruit or
the colors.
The stressed the color that stress can bring about, or the grace of a reach for the sunlight, or how a tendril will wrap around a branch to get up a little bit higher. All of those things, and you'll see that's why none of us really love working with commercially grown hothouse flowers. They're all getting from every direction everything they need all the time. So you get these little stiff soldiers,
super straight
to work with. And so something about overcoming challenge, or the character brought on by the fight for it, is really inspiring for me, and makes me feel a little better about myself. Reminds me how much character I'm building on a daily basis.
What, you or the flowers?
Well, both of us.
Together in harmony. Love it. Having been very lucky to be over there a couple of times in San Francisco, girls, they do have the most amazing markets. Now, I know that we try and get most of our stuff from the garden, but every so often you have to buy, if you've got an event, your garden can't. And your market is pretty special over there, isn't it?
I mean,
It is.
Yeah, it's kind of the nicest one I've ever been to, but I've never been to Holland. So, but I think it's one of the better in the, like, on the planet, maybe.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Well, seeing your images that you've taken of the market, the quality of the product, and the natural way it looks very organic, and
it looks like it's
grown.
Come from the garden, doesn't it? It looks, you have lots of suppliers, don't you, that are local and
that are using ethical, sustainable approaches to producing and simulating natural circumstances for things. So yeah.
How's it been during COVID?
It's still impressive. Well, we're pretty spoiled here, so I think anybody coming from anywhere else in the country would just be like, "Oh my God!" But we're like,
have you carried on over there?
It working? I mean, I've done a couple of jobs.
Okay.
I'm doing the flowers at a new restaurant that is not open, but it's very high concept food. So they're running menus and trying out dishes, and they've been generous enough to have me doing flowers to empty house during this time. So that's been amazing.
Yeah.
And are really open to exploration. So they're really open to the inquiry. Like, so it doesn't really have to be flowers, my installations.
So are they the ones you've been doing, the more conceptual ones that you've been doing? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I love
it. I mean, and I haven't really pushed it like I hopefully will be. Like I'm really excited about it as a outlet. And they've got actually a couple of restaurants, and within each of them there's private dining rooms. So it's got a lot of potential, ultimately, to be a real fun, a real thing, a whole thing. So yeah, that and still, unfortunately, this time has given, you know, my 2021 brides and some that are now 2022 brides lots of time
change their minds.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. So lots of proposal revisions.
Great.
Design meetings and virtual mock-ups and that sort of thing.
Do you do a lot of weddings?
I mean, I think the majority of my income is wedding work. Yeah.
How many would you do a year? About?
That really varies year to year. Somewhere between.
Especially this year.
Yeah. Right.
0. Yeah.
I think I did 5 in 2020. But
that's not bad, is it?
No, I feel pretty good about that. Somewhere between 15 and 20 usually a year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a manageable number, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I mean, with the restaurant and the garden and the all of it, that seems to be comfy for me.
I can't quite get my head around the amazing people who can seem to do 100 weddings a year, and I just can't. I can't.
How do you keep your passion? How do you keep your passion if you're doing that?
Well, I have to say that I'm glad you brought that up, and that's a brilliant question. And you know, us talking about, even if we've made a train wreck of an arrangement, this idea of finding something in the doing process of it, yeah, that you know, brings you to a place. It like preserving that once you're doing this professionally or making a living or have to consider a client's expectations or a wedding planner's expectations or think about posting it on Instagram. I'm actually really grateful for that challenge, like learning to excuse all of that noise and just focus on the work. So yeah, I mean, I do think that once you're doing 100 weddings a year, it becomes a different activity. You're just sort of managing other people's talents or something.
Yeah.
And you know, that's not 100% the business I want to build, but or have wanted to build, but I you know, it is like a community of flower people, and there's something to be said for that, for sure.
Is there something you'd say no to, even if the money was fabulous? It just wouldn't be your thing.
No, I like.
No.
If they're paying me right, I will do it in a tube top and rollerblades. I don't like.
Let's pay him.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic.
I mean, that's true. It is. It's true.
But that's life, though, isn't it? We all have mortgages and bills to pay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and as I said, sort of preserving that, what is special about it, to me, relies on that. You know, like it's harder to focus on finding some pleasing spatial relationship with my elements if I'm, worried about the PG&E being shut off.
Yeah.
So
it's getting that balance is really tricky, and I think people struggle throughout their careers really to find it, because you go into something because you're passionate about it and you can't let it go, and then suddenly this thing becomes a monster, or potentially becomes a monster, and it's finding that that balance between still loving it and well, taming the monster, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and I still, at the end of the day, it's very much a service I'm providing for my clients, and I'm lucky enough and very grateful to have some clients that are very much like leave me to my own devices, but that's not all of them. And many of them are like, there's some things missing in the middle. Can you
fill it?
Did you bring any? Flowers. Yeah. Did you bring any more stuff? So
I have to tell you this. I helped a friend a couple of years ago. Was it last year? No, nothing happened last year. The year before, for his wedding. I went along as a freelancer, and I think I was a bit of a pain, really. So I sort of wafted around, and she said, "Well, you can do the urn for the table, the central table inside the bride's house," because it was all at home and everything. So I went, "Okay, I'm going to do the urn. I've seen Max. I've watched him. I'm going to do this."
I know how to do it.
I know how to do it. I know exactly what to do. It's this beautiful urn. Max, you'd have loved it. It was gorgeous. I put it in the table. The next day she went, "Lucy, you've got to redo that urn. It hasn't got enough flowers in the middle." I was like, I'm channeling my inner Max. What do you mean?
Well, if somebody said that, that means you were successful.
Yes, that's the way to look at it. I like that.
In the foyer in Chez Panisse, there's a large arrangement, and more than once I've come in to refresh the flowers or top off the arrangements, and someone had taken placed a small espresso cup right in the middle. Like where
the flowers.
Maybe there's been some flowers. It's just like somebody's little commentary on my negative space.
That negative space needs filling. I don't care what with.
I mean, I will say every once in a while in a picture, I'll be like, okay, I can kind of see what they were talking about. Maybe my negative space is a little too negative.
Too spacey.
Too spacey, yeah. But yeah,
so what have you got? Sorry,
go ahead. No, you.
No, I cut that bit, Bridge. Edit that bit out.
You guys can edit this. That's great.
Oh yeah.
But going back to being paid, it takes a lot to persuade me to take stuff out.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's getting into bribery already. Oh my goodness. You're 2 weeks in.
I know how this works now.
See, now I know what we're working with here.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Lucy, what was it you were trying to say?
Can't remember now. It's gone. No, I was going to say, what's on the horizon? More weddings? Are you looking forward to? Have you been vaccinated yet?
I have not been vaccinated.
No. Are you trying to say he's 70 or something?
No! I think they might have different arrangements over there.
I think they do. Don't vaccinate anybody.
So no, I haven't been vaccinated. I mean, I look forward to that being a little more widely available. I don't have like proper wedding work until June, and I will be surprised if they're letting 300 guest events happen then, but we'll see.
I can't see how they can.
I can't. But people are holding on to those dates, and there's no penalty for rescheduling. I'm not charging people for that. refunding non-refundable deposits if that's what clients are deciding to do. I am doing, so in it's basically the garage. I call it my home studio, but it's the garage.
I've got one of those.
There's a rolling door, and we can keep all the windows and doors open. So I'm doing one-on-ones out there right now. As I said, I'm still doing the flowers at Palette. I don't know when Chez Panisse will open again. I feel like they're pretty committed to not having people wear masks for the experience overall. So I don't know when they'll be opening again. And pinching pennies, you know, like I'm pinching pennies. Sorry.
What you meant.
I knew what you meant.
Or pinching pennies, whatever. Yeah, you know, eating a lot of beans.
Oh. Has this pause though made you sort of think of things for the future that you'd like to do, or sort of investigate further ideas you've had but you've never had time to explore, that kind of thing?
I mean, yes and no. I'm just now getting to that point of really entertaining what that would be, or I feel very clear about some things I don't miss about the time before.
Such as
rose balls.
See, I have to channel my inner diplomat here, because if my potential rose ball clients are watching this,
love rose balls. Love them.
All over the rose balls.
I'm here. I'm here for your rose balls. Yeah, I will say that there's a tempo to wedding work that isn't conducive to a relaxed life. Like there's something about the pace that and the monster of social media as well. I really have been able to explore a different relationship to my gallery in this time, and I'm only now really exploring what it means to take risks and post things that don't feel perfect, or don't feel flowery enough, or don't feel aligned with the brand that I've sort of scrambled to create. So, but I don't know. I mean, there's something in that idea of finding harmony in the vase, or in the composition, and how that translates to like a lower blood pressure. There's something about that. Like if that was something I could explore, helping people look into, that something that might be there, but I don't, there's no like, there's no there yet. Like so we'll see. I don't know. I have to confess to that being a pretty hot topic right now. Like what next? Haven't really looked into it without a fair amount of anxiety. So
I think a lot of people are feeling like that, aren't they, really?
It's just that complete unknown, isn't it? And not knowing when it's going to come back, and it's that there's no security at all, is there? It's
no
threatening.
I'm like, do I need to learn how to like make a latte? I don't know what else I would do for a living, really, you know, like
They reckon it's going to be the Roaring Twenties, don't they?
When it comes back. That.
Yeah, they think everybody's just going to go mad. So I think you'll go from being not quite knowing what to do with your time to being so busy. You know, there'll probably be that nice bit in the middle. It'll probably explode. I mean,
I hope that. I hope in a way, I hope that to be true. I also, there's a way that we can't unknow what we know now, though. I hope it's not quite roaring. Like I hope it's
we have just a bit of raw.
Oh, a little bit raw. Little bit raw. But I hope it's a really like well-informed roar.
Okay, that's very sensible, Max.
I just there's so much, like, I don't know. I don't think the planet can take a lot of roaring. You know, I hope it's a sustainable roar.
Yeah. So when you said roaring, I just imagined partying. I thought that's what you meant. But yeah.
No, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Like Charlestoning and having a good time.
Bring that on. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
I mean, I have the tube top and the rollerblades upstairs.
Get them out.
This is just so tempting.
That's twice he's mentioned it. Next time.
Yeah. I feel you just
want to have it. It's a good tube top.
We can give you a 5-minute break. And we can have that on YouTube by next week.
By this evening.
Tomorrow, I think.
Right, I'm going to ask you some questions, Max, right? This is just a quick fire, okay?
Let's do it.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, I can't see. Hang on.
Oh.
No, I know.
It's the
thing.
Right.
Book or movie?
Wait, what? What?
No, you've ruined it.
Okay, well, maybe I need a little
bit more. A
little background on the rapid
fire. I don't
fire.
normally do this. Bridget normally does it, you see. So failed.
What would you prefer, a book or a movie?
Of me?
So what do?
Who's gonna play me?
Who would you want to play you?
You can choose.
Question.
Okay. I'm going to put that on our list for the future. Who's going to play you?
Go on, I want to know the answer to
this. I'm movie. Now I understand. Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready for this.
Right.
Edit this out.
No, I want to know who you're going to play you in a movie.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, movie.
Okay.
Definitely.
Wonder Woman or Batman?
Wonder Woman. Are you kidding?
Obviously. On rollerblades.
Yeah, obviously.
Scooby-Doo or Tom and Jerry?
Tom and Jerry.
Oh, really? Bit of a Scooby fan myself.
I'm 100 years old, so...
Yeah, we're all 100 years old, as Lucy likes to keep
reminding us.
I'm not including you in that, by the way, Matt.
Apples or bananas?
Apples.
You're very good at the quick.
Yes, he is.
Comedy or thriller?
Comedy. I know. Am I disappointing you, Lucy?
No, I'm all the way. No.
This is worse than an audition. My God.
What do you think about him, Bridge? Do you think I'm not too sure about him, really. Are you?
No. Do you want to tell him he can go?
Yes. I think you're dismissed now. No, you're not. Please don't.
Last one. Wind or rain?
Wind.
Keep it clean.
You can't keep asking people that.
Why not? I think it tells a lot about a person, that kind of question. What did you say? Wind?
I said wind.
Yeah, you have.
For sure. But I love both of those things. That's a tough one.
I hate the winds. I hate it.
I'm not a big fan of the wind.
Well, it depends how cold it is.
I sleep like a baby. Oh, the wind.
Do
is
you?
Like, oh, yeah.
Oh, no, it frightens me. I don't like it.
I love it.
Have you got any more questions,
anyway,
girls?
Who do you want to play you in a movie?
Oh.
Yeah. Who would be your ultimate?
I mean, the obvious answer isn't like, I hear all the time that I look a lot like Robert Downey Jr. So I suppose he would
be the obvious choice.
Be the obvious choice. I would probably, left to my own devices, pick someone a little younger.
Why wouldn't you?
I mean,
well, it's your movie. You can pick
it's my right.
You like, yeah,
yeah. So,
and your supporting cast, who would they be?
Lucy's looking for a vote.
I was going to say, who would vote?
Who would you like in the chorus?
Right. Amazing.
Supporting role.
I mean, as long as I don't have to play myself, I'm happy. Like whatever happens after that, I'm good.
It'd be quite cool if it was a movie about you, if you had a little cameo, wouldn't it? Where you're just there,
like Alfred Hitchcock,
stirring your tea or something,
making a latte. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would just be that thing that everybody said, "Oh, did you see? He was really in the movie. Did you see the bit where he was?"
That super awkward guy that walked by. That was
Guy behind the flowers.
Totally.
So what have you got planned for the rest of the day, Max? Because you've got your whole day stretched out ahead of you. Lying down in a darkened room after this?
Yeah, I regret. No, I am taking this opportunity to get a bunch of work done on the house. So I have I have a succession of meetings with folks who are gonna
make it pretty.
Well, make it sound anyway. Have some roof issues and there's some foundational issues. So I have a succession of bad news, I think, ahead of me.
I take it this is an older property.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was 1911 the house was built.
It's a constant, isn't it, with an old house?
Yeah. And there's windows of neglect in that since then. So
since 1911.
I mean,
it's been done.
Arguably, yeah. And then I do have some meetings to do a little bit later, and I have a cooler full of fun that I collected at the market yesterday.
A cooler full of fun.
Sounds amazing.
I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I have do you do mock-ups out there for weddings? Do they ask you to?
Some people do, don't they? But I personally don't.
We do a lot of them, and I'm doing a lot of them in the next 2 weeks for some reason. Okay. I don't really understand why, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's a tricksy one, that one, isn't it? I mean, because I've stepped away from a lot of wedding work, and to the point where I'm just like, if you don't want me to do my weird old thing, then I'm not the right person for you. And one of my things is, just create it on the day, and I can't tell you what it's going to look like. So to do mock-ups is just never going to work. Yeah, I mean, you're limiting the amount of people who want you. It's kind of
once every 10 years.
What's the idea?
Or creating demand. I don't know. That could work both ways. Well, and there's a lot that they can tell from the mock-up, but I'm like literally doing mock-ups for jobs that I won't have until September. So I'm like,
so seasonally, that's a really weird.
Yeah. I like feel like I'm going to put the arrangement down and just be like, so it's not going to look anything like this.
Here's what you're not going to have.
Yeah. So how does that work then?
Well, so what they can understand is silhouette. They can understand, the shape and the vessel and the proportions of texture to focal flowers or flowers to foliage. They can also understand how the palette is going to play off the linen and flatware and crystal.
But the palette in September is going to be very different to the palette in, where are we, in February?
How you achieve the palette will be very different, but you can arguably stay within a palette. You might not find orange in foliage now, but you could find it in
something else.
Ranunculus. I don't know. It's a challenge, but I also think it's sort of a carrot for the client. It just kind of keeps them engaged and interested and happy and
confident, I suppose, that you are going to be able to deliver something beautiful for them. I mean,
I absolutely.
But they could see all the images and they can hear all about
so
how
true.
marvelous you are. But if you actually make something for them and go, it won't be like this, anything like this, but it'll be a bit like this.
It's absolutely true.
You can do it.
Yeah, and I think also it's just like any other relationship. It's about a good fit. So they do get to experience that too. That I'm here to work with you and to, that's the fun part of the fun anyway, is to achieve their idea of beauty for their day.
Make a relationship with them.
Scary too, yes. Not as bad as an audition, but
it doesn't make you want to set yourself on fire.
I might sweat through my shirt, but we don't have to go as far as ritual disembowelment or anything.
Maybe we should all go for auditions, because we might feel better about everything else we did in life afterwards.
Yeah.
It can only get better from here.
Yeah.
We obviously haven't been scared enough.
Yeah, you don't really know what it's like to be demoralized.
No. Not to that extent.
Humiliated.
I did notice, Max, when I was looking at your website, that we set our business up in the same year. 2005.
Wow. Hey, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. It was our 15th last year. Complete washout. Nothing happened. So was it very different, the business, then, to what it is now?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. Obviously there wasn't like social media then.
No. That was the big thing for me.
But I don't know how, like, I think the business is still the business, Social media is sort of a different creature in a way.
So how did you get your first work? Because that, for me, starting off complete unknown with no shop, I had to network like crazy to sort of meet any people. Is that the sort of same thing that you did, or?
No, I'm not. I'm not that outgoing, honestly. So my business has grown very slowly. I did a lot of accounts, like a lot of restaurant accounts and private clients. And it's really only been in the last, I'd say, 5 or 7 years that wedding work has occupied the space that it has professionally for me.
With Instagram, then, would you say?
I mean, I think that had a lot to do with it. I think also just staying power, like that I have work all year has allowed me to endure, economic crises and currently global pandemics. And I think it's that I'm still holding on.
Just holding on. I like that. Holding on.
I think that's what we're all doing, isn't it? Gee, I still got my claws in the industry, man. Totally.
Clinging to a rock.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for it.
Well, I'm just wondering if there's anything else you'd like to... Is there any little nugget or anything you'd like to give us before we let you go to your... What did you call it? Your cooler full of excitement?
My cooler full of fun.
Full of fun. I've over-egged it with excitement, haven't I?
I don't know. I mean, I'm really, really glad to giggle with you guys this morning, and I'm excited to see what comes out of this time from off of each and every one of your hands. So that's no, really, I think that it's going to be like the Roaring 20s in many respects. Like I think people are creatively going to make up for lost time. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I wish I had some like fantastic nugget, but
yeah.
There's no big secret he's going to impart about what we can expect.
It's still a secret to me, unfortunately. So
it's been so lovely to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a really great way to start the day. Yeah,
thank you very much.
So lovely to see you.
Oh God, thank you guys. Thank you.
I hope in your corner of fun.
Yeah, and now I will have like all of your faces for all our communications.
Sorry about that. It's better before, really, wasn't it? Just don't know what they look like.
I'll miss you guys now.
Thank you
so much.
Speak to you.
All right, take good care.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Restless Creatives podcast. To ensure you don't miss our next episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Restless Creatives podcast. If you would prefer to listen rather than watch us, you can catch us on your favoured podcast provider.